Good morning. Hello to everyone in here. I think we have a few more people coming in and taking their seats. There's still some down front. Happy to have people move closer if they want. Give people a few more minutes or a few more seconds to filter in and find a seat. As most of you know, I'm Gina Oglesby. I am so honored to be the interim president of this university. Most of you in this room that have been here a while have seen me in various capacities at the university, whether it was chief audit executive, a vice president of finance and administration, and now serving in the interim role after being here 20 years. I just feel like I'm leading my SFA family through this period of transition. And it's such a great year for us. I was talking to someone outside to see that we have our centennial celebration, that we have the transition into the UT system. It just could not be a better time for us to be a family. And not only the family and the community that we hear, and I know there's new people in the room, and I didn't get to attend the new faculty social this week because I was at the UT system board meetings, but I hope you come in and feel the sense of community that we have here, and not just community here at SFA, but within our Nacogdoches community and county. I know lots of people in here. I can look around and see people that our kids played soccer together, they went to school together, we've served on boards of other organizations together, and it is just a big community feeling where we're all working together for Stephen F. Austin and for our community. So thank y'all for being here. I'm going to make a couple other introductions, starting with the President's Cabinet. And we have Lorenzo Smith, who's our Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, Judy Cruel, who's serving as the Interim Vice President for Finance and Administration, Jill Steele, our Vice President for Advancement, Damon Derrick, our Vice President and Chief Legal Officer. Lee Furbick could not be here, but she's our Vice President for Enrollment Management. Carrie Charlie, our Interim Vice President for Student Affairs. Mike Coffey, our Chief Information Officer. Mashara Delaney Fields, our Chief Diversity Officer. Graham Garner, our Chief Marketing Communications Officer. Charlotte Sullivan, I think also is not here this morning, our Director of Governmental Relations. Ryan Ivey, our Director of Athletics, our Chief Audit Executive, Jane Ann Bridges. So this is the President's Cabinet that will be working with you during these next few months. And then also sitting on the front row, smiling and always bringing a lot of SFA pride and cheer, Jada Cartwright, our Student Body President, and Nathan Lyons, our Student Body Vice President. We appreciate all that you do and that you're here representing the students with us today. There's going to be, actually, I have one more slide. Grace Saldana Romero is the Staff Council Chair, and Grace, and along with others here in their positions, will be representing us on University of Texas system groups of the same type. So the Staff Council group at UT System, Grace will be affiliated with, as well as others. So thank you to the President's Cabinet and to those introduced. I know Dr. Smith will make some academic introductions during his portion. So our agenda for today, y'all have heard me speak several times probably about our goals for this interim period, however long it ends up being while we search for our new president. But we are going to successfully transition to the University of Texas system, celebrate our centennial, and prepare for that new president that comes in. And also today, besides talking about those, I'm just going to give you some updates on some areas that I am frequently asked about. So as far as the UT system transition, last year, Dr. Steve Westbrook stood here as the interim president and then the 10th president later on, and he said that our Board of Regents was going to look at affiliation. So many of y'all probably remember that. And a year later, we are sitting here about to affiliate. So it was a fast process, but it was a transparent process, and it was just an exciting process for our university to see just how we were viewed by the other systems and the other higher education groups across the state of Texas. It was an exciting process. So as far as the timeline, some of you taught through May and left and may be familiar, but just as a reminder and for the new faculty, when y'all left in May, we had the legislation passed. We want to show as much appreciation as we can to our state senator, Robert Nichols, and our state representative, Travis Clardy. We could not have done this without them. They carried the legislation through. They worked closely with UT system. There's just so many different items that had to be worked out through legislation, whether it was in our legislation or in the General Appropriations Act, just different parts that had to be brought together to make it possible for us to affiliate legally. So we do show appreciation to Robert Nichols and Travis Clardy. And in the timeline, because of our SACS accreditation, the governor signed the legislation, and then our Board of Regents had turned over management and control to the University of Texas system at a time and date to be determined by the University of Texas system. So the University of Texas System Board met on July 27th and voted to assume that management and control on July the 28th. And that was to help us in our SACS accreditation purposes. They took over management and control. So right now, today, we are still operating under the management and control of the University of Texas system following the Stephen F. Austin State University regulations until August 31st. So we are still operating under SFA's policies and procedures for one more week or so. And I also want to recognize the core team that has worked on this affiliation. Like I said, it has been a fast year from the Regents vote in November. And when I say Regents, I'm looking out here and I actually see one of our Regents that's will be in office until next Thursday. Nancy is standing in the back. Thank you. I just want to acknowledge you because our Board of Regents did a very selfless action by voting for us to pursue affiliation. They had been appointed by the governor. They had terms of office that ran for 6 years, some of them, and it really was for them to step back and say, what's best for the future of SFA. We really do appreciate our Board of Regents for that, and they will officially go out of office next Thursday, August 31st. So back to the core team. There's several people in here that served on the affiliation core team. If you would stand up if you were part of the affiliation team and let us recognize you, just all as a group. Thank you all for your efforts on behalf of SFA. And I know there's other people in here that participated on committees and evaluations, and the whole process really was a collaborative effort. So I want to thank all of you for your role in it. Also, I was at the UT System Board of Regents meetings this week, and yesterday morning about 9:15, the formal action by the Board of Regents occurred. They made the motion and voted to officially make us a member of the University of Texas system, where our name is Stephen F. Austin State University, a member of the University of Texas system on September the 1st. So next Friday, that will be our official name. You can see here, as we've visited the system, our flag has been out front. We're not sure if it'll stay out front the whole time. If it's up to us, you know, we think we're the favored child, it would stay out front, but I'm sure we'll make our way back into the back row. But we were appreciative of the efforts to spotlight SFA. And even this week at the meetings, there were others wearing purple, showing their support for Stephen F. Austin, which I appreciate. I want to talk about a couple of other items related to the transition. The benefits, I hope many of you were able to take advantage of the benefits fair. Our Human Resources Department, the University of Texas Systems Benefit Office, April Smith, Joanne, Kim, just a big group of people. Judy and her staff worked hard to bring that to campus. And I can say in the almost 20 years I've been here, I haven't seen a benefit fair like that on our campus. So I hope that many of you were able to take advantage of it and meet with different groups that were there and find out more about our benefits. And that's something we hope to continue. It probably won't be on the same scale, but it will at least have that place to communicate and get information on UT system benefits. I think we had about 1,300 people actually attend the benefit fair, and so we appreciate the Rec Center for hosting that group over there the last few days. Also, as far as compensation, I'm frequently asked about compensation. Like I said, I've been a staff employee with you here all these 20 years. I know it is and important for all of us as we make our careers, as we grow our families, as we make our homes. We love what we do for SFA, but compensation is important. Just as a reminder of what happened last year, in October, we gave a 4% base salary one-time payment. It was 4% of base salary or $2,000, whichever was greater. So our employees received that last October, and then our regents voted in their board meeting in January to give a 6% cost of living base adjustment that was paid out on March the 1st. So we did the 4% or $2,000, and we did the 6%. We do recognize the need to address compensation on campus, and those were the efforts made last year. The 6% cost of living base adjustment, if you heard me present this item in the Board of Regents meeting, I know I've been to staff council, I've been a couple of places talking about this. The reason why in administration we were comfortable with making that recommendation to our Board of Regents is the University of Texas system had said they would give us $5.5 million each year for the next 4 years to help with the transition that could be used for faculty and staff salaries. So we did propose to use some of our reserves and go ahead and do that raise early and not make it a one-time payment, because we had the UT system funds coming in on September 1st. So the reason we were able to do the 6% was because of the faith of the University of Texas system and the funds they were giving us in their proposal. So we did continue that raise into this year's budget, just like our Board of Regents voted to do, that it is a continuous raise, not a one-time payment. And I'll talk a little bit about compensation some more soon. Also, the Purple Promise funds, the $1 million that we receive from the University of Texas system to help our students, that we see that as a big benefit. We've already had several or a lot of students accept those funds as part of their financial aid, so we're excited to see how that program can grow and appreciate UT system for those funds. Also this week at the meetings yesterday, we were included in the University of Texas system budget for this next year. Our budget was $243,167,143, our operating expense budget. Being the Vice President of Finance and Administration in the past, y'all have heard me talk about the difference in accrual basis and cash basis. This is an accrual basis budget based on the way the University of Texas system prepares their budget. So our budget office and accounting group worked really hard to make this transition in budgeting, and I think it will be something that we're able to understand on campus. We'll be able to compare ourselves to other University of Texas schools. It's going to give us some of the data and information that we have been wanting about our budget and to be able to compare us among our peers. So we will be talking more about that as the semester unfolds and have some presentations regarding our budget. Within the budget, we did propose a mid-year salary adjustment pool, but it is contingent on us meeting enrollment and budgeted revenue goals, and I'm going to talk about enrollment on too. But recognizing the need to address compensation, we did include that in our budget, but we need to make sure we're sustaining our enrollment to be able to fund that pool. Another item on the UT system agenda this week was in their capital improvement program. I presented our forestry, agriculture, and interdisciplinary project. You've heard a lot about it. The university in the last legislative session, not the one that just ended, received a CCAP project, a Capital Construction Assistant project, and University of Texas System put in funds on top of that, where now we have almost a $80 million project for forestry, ag, and interdisciplinary programs. That project will continue to move forward. We'll be in the planning stage of it, and so you'll hear lots of talks about what's going to be happening in forestry, ag, and the interdisciplinary program. Next, I was going to just talk a little bit about our centennial. What a historic time to be here, to think over the 100 years what has happened at our university, what they were thinking back 100 years ago to create this university, and where we are now. It's monumental to think of that we're here today and maintaining our independence, but now going into the UT system. It's just a special time for us. We do have a schedule of some of the centennial events that we would love to have our faculty and staff and students attend. More information will be coming out, all of these, but everything from alumni awards, a community partnership day where, like I said, how close we collaborate with our Nacogdoches community, different events that'll be happening in Nacogdoches and around. We'll talk a little bit more about our ribbon cuttings, and then we will have a Centennial Ring Plaza dedication on actual September 18th, which is the birthday, and a large centennial birthday party where we hope all of our students, Jada and Nathan, come and celebrate with us. It's going to be a great time. That will also be Giving Day, so a big fundraising day for the university where we try to meet a set goal on funds that are promised that day. And then we kicked off our centennial year with the gala this past January, so we will end our centennial celebrations with the SFA annual gala in January again this year. So we still have several months to celebrate our centennial. I mentioned preparing for a new president, the efforts that are going in. Well, there's so much work going on, things from converting policies and procedures and just making us more conform to some of the requirements of the University of Texas system, but we also are going to be having our presidential search. The University of Texas system is conducting that search. I think we've already sent out an email about that, so you're able to read about the membership of the committee. It's also on the website, but if you're serving on that presidential search committee, if you will stand up and just let everyone see the representation that we have. So we're excited. We're excited to not only have the UT system representatives and community representatives within our town, but also our SFA student representation, employee, faculty, staff. So that search committee, the organization of it is underway, so I anticipate we will hear more about that soon. For some updates on capital projects, we're sitting here in this beautiful expansion of our Turner Auditorium, and Gary Works is going to come up towards the end and talk about that a little bit more. But also, you will see our dining hall that is in process. It's scheduled for completion in summer of 2025. This was a project that was originally approved back in 2018, so some of these projects with COVID and everything that's happened the last few years are just coming to be worked on, and will come to fruition here in a few years. You also saw over the summer the demolition of Mays Hall and the efforts that went in to take that building down. It's just a different look over there on that part of campus. And then for an enrollment update, our fall census date is September the 12th. I talked about trying to meet some enrollment goals. Our preliminary information this week, y'all realize it could change from day to day depending on different registrations and things within the enrollment system. Head count appears slightly down. However, semester credit hours appear to be flat, which we are hopeful for that. because since COVID, we have been on a slightly downward trend regarding our semester credit hours. So seeing that we have that trajectory to be flat, and then hopefully with all of the investment in our campus, all the hard work of our faculty teaching our students and our recruiting and advising, we do intend for enrollment to go up. And we see that in our first-time undergraduate enrollment is up approximately 10%, which is great news. It shows recovery and just the efforts of our faculty and staff to recruit students. And we will begin work on a strategic enrollment plan. We'll have the new president coming in, but we feel like there's a lot of groundwork that can be done on that plan to work on our enrollment. And when I say enrollment, I don't just mean recruitment, but retention, just the overall enrollment for the university. Another update is the cyber incident. On June the 12th, my 12th day as interim president, all the computer systems went off. I thought Mike Coffey was playing a joke on me, but it was actually true. I just want to thank our IT team because of their quick action. They did cut the system off, but that's what needed to happen. So I think several of our IT team, Mike, if any of your team is here, will they stand up where we can acknowledge them too? They're working? Okay. We have one on each side, but I do understand they're working on the IT systems in this building to get it going. So we appreciate their continual work. There are some items that SFA, the IT group, is continuing to work on to restore. We were extremely, I don't know if the right word's proud, but to see, though some documents were released, it was minimized because of the efforts of our IT group. So we thank y'all so much. I also want to give an update on Senate Bill 17, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Those of you who've been on campus this summer may have had some talks about this in your groups. We are doing an assessment of our programs campus-wide for compliance with Senate Bill 17, and just to have a listing of all of our programs that could possibly be effective. This is one place where we are again using the resources of the University of Texas system. They've formed an advisory group. They have a chief legal officers group that is meeting regularly to look at these issues, because though our campuses may be different, we want to address in our procedures, we want to be able to address across the system in the same way. It may look different, but still we should have similar responses to some of the DEI programs that we have. We still planned, like we always have here at SFA, to support the needs of all of our students. I think we do such a great job of that, and we are concerned with each student and their success, but we will include our first-generation students, our low-income and underserved student populations. Those are important to our campus, as are all students, though, so our focus will be on meeting the needs of all students. A little update on athletics, because I get asked this. I got asked it in Austin several times this week. What conference do you play in? And I said, well, it depends on what sport you're talking about. So just to kind of clarify, most of our sports do participate in the WAC, the Western Athletic Conference. However, football plays in the United Athletic Conference. Bowling participates in Conference USA, and beach volleyball plays in the Sun Belt Conference. So we really support 4 conferences. Most people just say we participate in the WAC, but Ryan Ivey, I know, can explain it a lot better than I can. But that is a question that gets asked a lot, so here's the official answer. So those are some updates just on things I would think our campus would want to know about. I am going to turn to Dr. Smith for an update on academic affairs. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. How exciting. Gina spoke about Purple Promise, continued capital investments. the centennial celebration. There's a lot to be excited about at SFA. I'd like to recognize some of our leaders first who mean so much to the success here on this campus. I'd like to begin with Dr. Mark Guidry, Associate Provost. Would you please stand? And our deans. I'll mention all of them at once and then please recognize them collectively. Dr. Dustin Knepp, Dean, College of Liberal and Applied Arts. Okay, that's okay. Dr. Judy Abbott, Dean, Perkins College of Education. Dr. Kimberly Childs, Dean, College of Sciences and Mathematics. Dr. Hans Williams, Dean, Arthur Temple, College of Forestry and Ag. Dr. Gary Wirtz, Dean, Mickey Elliott, College of Fine Arts. And Dr. Timothy Bisping, Dean, Rushi, College of Business. Thank you. One of the most important relationships that I have on this campus is that with the Faculty Senate. And so I'd like to recognize Dr. C.C. Khan, Chair of our SFA Faculty Senate. And an equally important relationship is that with the Chair's Council, and leading that council, Chair, is Dr. Matthew Beauregard. I mentioned the deans, and I was once a dean, and I was once an associate dean, and I know how valuable those associate deans are. They don't always get the recognition, but they are equally as important as the deans are, and I want to recognize them. I'll mention their names, and if you can recognize them collectively as well. Dr. Jason Reese. Dr. Jason Reese? Okay. All right, so okay. All right, you win. All right. Dr. Lori Rogers. Dr. Christina Sinclair. Dr. Stacy Hendricks. Dr. Matthew McBroom. Dr. Joyce Johnston. Dr. Michelle Harris. And Dr. Debbie Pace. Thank you so much for all of your outstanding support and work. We have some new academic unit heads. Some of them have been here at SFA. They're moving from one place to another on campus, and some of them are brand new. And so, those academic unit heads, these, as you know, are people who are even closer to the front line of engagement. The associate deans, the deans have their role, their very valuable role, but closer to that front line of engagement is where the academic unit heads are. I'd like to have you recognize Dr. Mark Behringer, Interim Chair, Biology, if he is here. Dr. Aaron Childress, Chair, Pre-Health Professions. Now, you gotta do it now. Dr. Troy Davis, Interim Chair, Human Services and Ed Leadership. Dr. Wycliffe Jororai, Chair, Kinesiology. Dr. Joe Smith, Chair, Agriculture. And here we have a director, Dr. Sheriel Jerez, Director, Environmental Science. And of course, we have all of our other academic unit heads. If you could please stand and let us recognize you for your incredible work and value you add to this university. We have 46 new faculty coming, and this is amazing. I'm so happy. Please, if you are new to SFA, or if you've been at SFA but you're moving to a position as an instructor of any sort, please rise so we can recognize you. And I'm missing a lot of people. Nothing happens, as you know, without all of the administrative directors, the professional advisors, the librarians, and office staff anywhere on campus, both in academic affairs and outside of academic affairs. So faculty, would you please, first I would like for those people, if you are an administrative director, a professional advisor, a librarian, office staff, anywhere, please rise so the faculty and I can recognize you. So this morning, I want to provide an update on the state of academic affairs, where we are, what we want to be, and how all may partner together to make a better tomorrow for SFA. In 2021, we solidified an action plan that for the most part has not changed, a little bit here and there, but for the most part that action plan has not changed. That action plan continues to inform decision-making in academic affairs. So in academic affairs, in summary, we are making the most of today, acknowledging future challenges and opportunities, and looking forward to the hard work leading to an even better SFA. You can stay there on this slide. So our action plan, again, is relatively simple. The mission for us is really coming from the university mission. That represents kind of a lighthouse for us. We look toward that mission when we have to find our way, which direction to go. The priorities listed there are there because we have to make difficult choices. We can't do everything. And it helps inform our decision making regarding where to place our resources. I want to pause a little bit and mention, though, that I recognize that this action plan has not fully delivered everything that the staff and faculty need to perform with excellence in a sustainable way. I own that. There are pockets of significant lack and concern in academic affairs, and I recognize that, and I recognize some of the frustration and concerns and disappointment that has been experienced. However, I want to share with you some wonderful things about SFA, about academic affairs, but I do want you to know as I share these great exciting points about academic affairs, I've not lost focus on that. I'm not forgetting the need that needs to be addressed in academic affairs. But we have a lot of good news. So first of all, pursuant to our action plan, just following that, we have been able to eliminate or merge 6 academic programs since June 2021, and about 20 within the past 3 years, some of them slightly before I got here. That is not easy to do. I remember what it was like when I made my own course or developed or improved my course. You fall in love with your course. And to have that course go away or even program go away is painful for those who invest so much in that initiative. But we really had to do that. We're continuing to look at our academic portfolio to make sure that we are appropriately responsive to the demands of the students and employers. We are focusing on, in consultation with Vice President Lee Furbeck, promoting, of course, all of our academic programs, but some of them in particular have a special interest. Aviation, construction management, accounting, nursing, forestry, agriculture, social work, computer science, mechanical engineering, and electrical engineering. These are programs that are either high potential or are growing rapidly, and we need to continue to invest in them to capitalize on all of the benefit we can get. And again, we're going to be working very closely with enrollment management on that in promoting those academic programs. Some good news. What we're doing, we're making the most of today. Marianne Rojas, Executive Director of CARI, is making the most of today. The CARI mission really speaks to strengthening the socioeconomic fabric of our 12-county region. Marianne is performing with excellence, by the way, working very closely with people like Nancy Wyndham. She's addressing issues such as access to broadband, tourism, forestry industry, drug abuse, healthcare, transportation, clean water, the list goes on and on. She is hitting a home run. This past summer, she went on a 12-county listening tour. I think they call it a blitz. And I attended a few of those. Absolutely tremendous in how she worked with the community, engaging them. She's presiding over a $2.5 million Economic Development Administration grant and a $1 million special item award. And, of course, among other things, she's distributed about $200,000 to faculty for seed money for their research, and some of that money went to students as well. And she's busy writing grants. And I am very optimistic that there's going to be some very good news to share in the near future about her efforts in grant writing. So thank you, Ms. Marianne Rojas. To further support student signature learning experiences, we added $100,000 in permanent funding to the Office of International Programs to support Heather Catton's Office of International Programs. Shown in the picture is our new international ambassadors, and they are representing the Dominican Republic, Japan, Nigeria, Malaysia, Vietnam, Canada, and the Netherlands. Heather Catton is doing an outstanding job in that office, and it's just wonderful. Occasionally I'll get these postcards from the students. Recently I got one from the students. They were in Greece, the Netherlands, Portugal, and Brazil. And that really touches my heart because it speaks to this type of signature experiences we want to build and grow here on this campus. It's part of our action plan. So I'm very proud of the work that Heather Catton is doing, and if you can join me in recognizing her for that work. And now we have our Lumberjack Learning Commons Executive Director, Megan Weatherly, but I have to focus on one of the wonderful developments for this Lumberjack Learning Commons. By the way, very under the great leadership of Mark Guidry. As you may know, this Lumberjack Learning Commons encompasses our Office of International Programs, our ARC, where we have our tutoring, Student Success Center, but we added 2 new offices, continuing education. There'll be a search for position that I believe it's going out, and Makerspace. And here we have our wonderful Herb Midgley as our inaugural Makerspace faculty fellow. We are so happy to have him serving at that capacity. It's going to make a tremendous difference, and I'm so excited to have Herb serving. If you can join me in celebrating that position. The East Texas Research Center, ETRC. As you know, it houses photographs, documents, maps, books, and other archival materials that emphasize Eastern Texas life, culture, economy, and history. It's been here a while, but it truly is one of these signature type of learning experiences at which the community can come to, students can come to, staff and faculty. Shown in the picture is a family who donated an incredible collection of family correspondence that will touch your heart. I was at the presentation, and I was so proud of the ETRC for having served that community. And so if you can join me in recognizing the staff in the ETRC for all their work. But while I'm at it, that ETRC is housed inside the Steen Library. So when students wonder about, how do they process their information? Where do they get it? What's the best way to search for it? How to digest that information? How to communicate it? How do you archive it? And so many more questions that students have. We have an incredible, outstanding group of professionals who serve the students, who serve the staff, who serve the faculty, and that's the entire library staff. And I just want to take a time and ask them, if you are anywhere in the library staff, if you can just rise and we can recognize you, if there's anyone here in the library at all. Jonathan Helmke. Professor Steve Galatas. Amazing the work that he does. These are just samples. These are samples of these signature experiences, what we're doing in alignment with our action plan. But they continue to win award after award. At a most recent one, this was at the Model European Union competition, the Midwest Model EU competition, the largest one in the US. They're bringing home the hardware. First place, best delegation. First place, European Council. And first place, European Parliament. And there are others, but these students are superstars. But they are supported by people like Professor Steve Galatas, who puts his blood, sweat, and tears into these students, into these programs, because he knows how important it is for these signature learning experiences for our students. Please help me, and when we recognize Professor Steve Galatas, we're really recognizing all the professors who do something just like this. So let's give him a hand clap also. So it was just like Shark Tank, all right? And this was Director Matthew Smiler's competition at the Arnold Center for Entrepreneurship. The students came from all over the place, well, even outside of our 12-county region, to compete, to make their pitch. And I was there. I so much enjoyed watching the students compete. I also enjoyed just looking at how the faculty were supporting those students and the staff and the expertise that Director Matthew Smiler put into this effort. But these are some a picture of the students who won an award. And I just want to recognize also people like Director Matthew Smiler for all of his effort. Again, another piece of that puzzle of what we want to put together for our students. Please join me in recognizing Matthew. What I enjoy about the plenary is just walking through it. Sometimes after a long day, I'll just walk through it, and my wife is all into vegetables and such, and it is so beautiful to see what he has done over there. Dr. Jared Barnes and his students at the plenary are making the most of today. Under his leadership, students grow, raise plants in the micro farm sprout, the greenhouses, and teaching gardens around the SFA agriculture building. It's wonderful looking at the plants and the vegetables, but also it's just wonderful talking to these students and just soaking in their enthusiasm. That enthusiasm is there in part because of the faculty who teach them the value of what they're doing. And so I'd like to recognize Dr. Jared Barnes for his efforts in managing the SFA plantry. Dr. Michael Kasich continues to just drive success on this campus. He's working with some of the best and brightest students on campus. The honors students, many of them have presented work all over the country at professional and academic conferences across the nation. This is important work. This is what we need to continue to do, to continue to invest in initiatives that Dr. Kasich is putting together through the School of Honors. This is a strength of SFA that I really want to invest further in. So thank you, Dr. Kasich. Those are just samples. We do have a few additional action items. I worked with some faculty and some staff over the last year, and we created an in-house analytical tool to help initiate more meaningful discussions around faculty hiring requests. Eventually, this is going to save us about $95,000 a year, and that's significant. Once we get out of this contract, we'll be able to use this PAMCAM program to save us a little bit of money. Our deans have worked tirelessly, and it was not easy, but they worked to surgically find opportunities to address salary inequities in academic affairs. And that was a very, very difficult process, and the process is still going on. It was painful. We were kind of in new territory. We weren't exactly sure how to proceed, but we knew that going back to our action plan that we established together, that was a priority for academic affairs. And so we sacrificed a lot to meet that priority. And so I just want to really let you know how appreciative I am of all the efforts that have been taking place in academic affairs to do our best to address some of the salary challenges that we have. Some may say, well, this is not a lot of money, and indeed it's not. Within the context of the UT system, they operate in billions, all right? Hundreds of millions and billions and so on. The numbers are just noise in the data, okay? Round-off error in the UT system, but they mean a lot. here to everyone in academic affairs, that staff member to that faculty who is receiving that small help. One of the areas of priority for our action plan is investing more in advising. And I was walking with a professional advisor a couple days ago, and she gave me the number 417. She actually sent an email to me. That's the number of students that's assigned to her for this year, or at least for this semester. 417 students. Now, if you look at the literature, there's no clear number on what is too much, what is too little, but 417 is a lot. And that's a sort of typical load, some more, some less, but that's a typical load for our professional advisors to manage their advising duties with their students and how critical their work is. We're very interested in driving up enrollment. Well, one of the buttons that we can push is keep more of the students here on this campus. Our gifted, talented students, their work is so instrumental, so central to enrollment growth on this campus. Mark Guidry is working on a $100,000 retention initiative where he's working as hard as he can to maintain and increase the focus on whatever we can do to drive up retention. And so we're very appreciative of his work. So the efforts to increase retention, graduation rates, job placement, and enrollment are taking place on a changing landscape. And I mentioned to you, we have our challenges in academic affairs, and those have not been forgotten. But heaped on top of those challenges are challenges we have with managing the changing landscape in higher education. So I just want to kind of go through a few sample numbers here to give you a feel for the changing landscape for higher education. Enrollment in online courses is expected to grow by 25% by 2030, reflecting a shift toward more flexible learning options. Due to demographic shifts, the enrollment of traditional college-age students, 18 to 24, is expected to decline by 5% by 2030. Texas is growing overall as a state. The 12 county regions are a little bit different, so that we have to keep that in mind. 70% of adult learners prefer online or hybrid learning modalities. Around 62% of adult learners are employed full-time while attending school. What does that mean for our curriculum? How are we going to adjust? Micro-credentials have grown by over 130% in the past 5 years. 80% of employers now recognize or value micro-credentials. Mark Guidry is heavily invested in the effort to bring micro-credentials, working in close consultation with the faculty, into the curriculum as best we can. And as it is appropriate. It's not always appropriate in every single course, but where it is appropriate, we want to make sure we can include that. 75% of employers believe competency-based education better prepares students for the workforce. This is what the employers say. It tends to be 25% less expensive. Just staying on this here, we cannot acquiesce entirely to what the employers say, but it does mean something. And so we have to always keep in mind, as you know, we have our focus on our curriculum, what we consider to be so essential, so central, but we do need to continue to focus on what the employers are saying, because those are the people who are, of course, taking our students and employing them. 65% of educators believe AI will play a significant role in personalized learning by 2030. However, 50% of them have ethical bias concerns associated with the application of AI. We are starting that process of exploring how do we manage this AI in higher ed. 70% of students report that they learn best in a blended learning environment that includes both online and in-person instruction. I had a wonderful conversation with faculty a couple days ago, and this was kind of the sentiment. One of the comments was, whatever that combination is for SFA, we have to determine that, we just want to do our best. We want to be the best at it, whatever that combination is. I don't think we are quite there in knowing what it is, but we need to find out that space for SFA, and as that faculty member said, be the best. Learning strategies and technology use, kind of reflecting on AI, are now toward the top of the list of employers' desired soft skills. And so you're starting to see this AI creeping in, the impact of that in what employers consider the most important type of soft skills, the application and use of it. Okay. All right, enough with the statistics now. So I do believe that SFA can lead in responding with excellence, ladies and gentlemen, to the changing landscape. It is possible. I want to pause, though, and say that we must firmly embrace our strengths related to its culture, our culture, traditions, pedagogical styles, and unwavering focus on excellent teaching and student engagement. So however we proceed, we can't forget that. We absolutely must hold on to our strengths. We're not throwing everything out. We want to capitalize and grow our strengths, but at the same time, we do need to be responsive to the changing landscape. Interim President Oglesby spoke about doing the groundwork in preparation for the new president coming in. This is exactly what we have been doing in academic affairs, and kind of at an enhanced approach this past summer. So we are looking at how can we prepare that groundwork for the incoming president. And so what we did, we began this summer in just throwing around some ideas, considering some different approaches, and we're trying to coalesce around a 6-year plan. We have to think long term. So we're looking at a 6-year plan for academic affairs. This is a sketch. I'll give you an idea of kind of a sketch of where we're going on this 6-year plan for academic affairs that absolutely must be eventually folded into the fabric of the entire campus discussion. What you're going to see here are examples coming up of initiatives that are going to cost a little bit of money. And so they're going to come from sources such as enrollment growth, state support, campus-level budgetary changes, external grant IDC returns, gifts, percent fill rates for sections, some combination. That is for the new president coming in to kind of manage that conversation. But I want to point out that some of the initiatives that I'm going to share with you, these ideas, examples, will cost a little bit of money. They'll require some investment. Some of them will actually give some return. Others are just a great investment for our students. And so there are 4 action areas that I'd like to share with you. These have been rolled out, by the way, to the deans, to the academic unit heads, some of the faculty. Again, the Faculty Senate, CC, has not even been approached yet. Of course, we look to do that soon. So we're working on developing a framework, some groundwork for a 6-year plan for academic affairs. But I do want to point out that consultation following shared governance principles, that is in process. So this is a sketch of what we're looking at. First of all, we want to fortify and stabilize infrastructure to support students. So I'll have a slide for each one of those. Combat enrollment declining forces. We, of course, have to work very, very closely with Vice President Lee Furbeck and trust her guidance and expertise, but we're doing some of that. We want to know how can we plug that in to the strategic enrollment plan. So we do recognize that we would not be doing this in a vacuum. We'll work with Graham Garner and University Marketing Communications and Lee Furbeck and other stakeholders on campus. The third one, technologize and strengthen our curriculum, content, and delivery. That's big. That's going to be a lot of work. That's going to take investment. It's easy for me to say, oh, let's just do that. But the people who actually have to do that are the faculty. And it takes time. They have the capacity to do it, but they may not have the time to do it and the resources. So that's central to the faculty there. And then grow national prominence in research and creative activity. So on to the next slide. Here again, I won't dwell on it. Oh, okay. That's good. So let me just say that for the fortifying and stabilizing infrastructure for the students, Gina Oglesby spoke about that. That's a conversation that's going to come up. We just look forward to those conversations, how we can support our faculty and staff. Let me just look at the slide here. We're on 4. Okay. Stay right there. That's good enough. I will go there. So you saw some of the ideas, the examples. I didn't. I was looking at my page. But you saw in some of those topic areas examples of what we want to look at in academic affairs. We'll be consulting with the Faculty Senate, the Chair's Council, the Dean's Council. This is just part of the process. And eventually, we do want to put something in front of the new president that represents a thriving academic affairs. Because a thriving academic affairs is going to lead to a big part of a thriving SFA. So now on this final slide here, we are making the most of today. I shared with you some wonderful stories about what's happening in academic affairs. We do at the same time acknowledge future challenges and opportunities. And with all stakeholders on campus, we seek to maintain a focus on a common mission and agreed upon priorities. And we look forward to coalescing around a long-term plan for academic affairs that will lead to a better tomorrow for SFA. So this fall, I look forward to continued discussions with the staff, the faculty, and even the students to talk about how we can visualize a thriving academic affairs. I'm very, very optimistic. I'm excited about what Interim President Gina Oglesby had to say about the university. And I just want to thank you for all of your patience and hard work, the staff and faculty. So at this time, I would like to bring Dr. Gary Wirtz to the podium, who is going to provide a few remarks. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate Dr. Smith telling me on the way in that he wanted me to say a few words today. The last time we met as a faculty faculty and staff to start a new year in this room was Dr. Patillo's last, you may remember. I remember I was sitting right back there, and he surprised everyone in the room by announcing that the university had decided to build a new fine arts building. And I remember I was sitting behind somebody back there who went like this, "Well, what are we sitting in?" And I thought, well, that's what you say if you don't reside here because you don't understand how far behind it had gotten. But it was that announcement, though the case for the need for this building had been made strongly by Buddy Himes and all of us in the college, the announcement that it was going to be built surprised everyone, even for Dean Emeritus Buddy Himes at that time. But the need for this building was created by an incredible faculty and staff and the thousands of students who have come through this college over the last 3 decades. And there is nothing more rewarding than seeing people who have done an amazing job with inferior facilities finally get what they deserve. So a lot of great stuff is about to go on over here, and I want to invite you to come and participate in it. If you live in Nacogdoches and you ever find yourself saying, there's just nothing to do here, you aren't paying attention, because there's always something going on this side of the campus. We put between the faculty and students and the art, theater, dance, and music events that are put on throughout an academic year, more than 300 things go on over here over the course of a year. So there will always be something for you to do, and if you don't think you'll like it, come give it a shot, because it's wonderful to watch students achieve the things they achieve, as we know, across campus in all disciplines. We're bringing back the university series. We haven't had anywhere to do it. Yeah. And we have 4 terrific events scheduled for this coming year. We're going to open with a fantastic blues singer. I found her on the Texas Touring Artists roster based out of Austin. Her name is Ruthie Foster. I had to go watch Ruthie Foster video. Somebody knows Ruthie back there. And I can't quit watching her videos now. She is amazing. She's coming with a terrific band, and you don't want to miss that. And then our old standbys who bring a great audience, Daly and Vincent, around the holiday season. And I was at a Texas Council of Fine Arts Deans conference last year, and all the UT and Texas Tech, U of H people, they said, you got to put a comedian on there, man. People love it. So I'm bringing in a comedian named Joe Zimmerman. You've seen him on Conan O'Brien's show. This guy's amazing, and he'll have an opener, so we'll have a night of comedy. And then Delfeo Marcellus of the famous jazz Marcellus family will perform with J.D. Solis and the Swingin' Axes in April. So it's going to be a fantastic series. These are acts you could see in any major city in this country, and they're going to be on this stage. So come see them and come to a lot of other stuff. Now please welcome President Oglesby back.
Thank you, and I want to thank Dr. Smith. He is one of the most passionate and really the nicest person you can meet. So thank you for your remarks. Gary, thank you. And Joanne, there's not a slide for this. I'm going a little bit off slide. I just want to thank you all for coming. We've recognized so many people here, and there's people in here that haven't been recognized, so many of the support areas, the auxiliary areas, the financial areas. So if you weren't recognized today, will you stand up and let us recognize you? I mean it. Everybody stand up. If you were not recognized today as part of a group, the whole upper deck, y'all look up there, is being recognized. Because we are a team and it takes all of us. And as we've talked about the resources that the University of Texas system is providing to us, we have to look at the resources that we're providing to them. I look out and I see a highly competent faculty and staff that they're receiving, a beautiful campus, a motivated and excellent student body. And then we also bring them a little bit of Southern hospitality, maybe East Texas accent, just a little bit different flair than they may have within the system, and we're excited to do that. It has just been a great joy for me to represent us in Austin and all around, so I thank all of you for that opportunity. As part of the transition, Lorenzo and I had the great pleasure to work on the steering committee with Dr. Archie Holmes, who's the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and Jonathan Pruitt, who's the Vice Chancellor for Business Affairs. We met weekly, worked closely on all the transition issues that were going on with our core team and in the legislative process. And Archie has become a great friend and mentor and advisor. I meet with him weekly about our university and our issues, and I appreciate him giving that time to SFA. And we have a message from him today.
Hello, I'm Archie Holmes, Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the University of Texas System. On behalf of all of us at UT System, I want to welcome you to a new academic year, which is a milestone one for SFA. First, SFA celebrates its centennial year, marking 100 years of providing higher education to the people of East Texas and those who have chosen to study here. Second, SFA officially becomes the newest member of the University of Texas System on September 1st. For nearly 140 years, the University of Texas System has improved the lives of Texans and people all over the world through education, healthcare, and research. With an enrollment of more than 243,000 students at academic and health institutions across the state, the University of Texas System is one of the nation's largest public university systems in the world. UT System institutions produce more than 64,000 degrees annually, including more than 1/3 of the state's bachelor degrees and more than 60% of the state's medical degrees. In summary, it's a great time to be a lumberjack, celebrating a century of progress and looking forward to a new century as part of the UT System. We are so thrilled to join the students, staff, and faculty of SFA in this dual cause for celebration during perhaps its most monumental year in history. We are excited to work together to launch the search process for a president and to help SFA continue the traditions and programs that have earned the university such a great reputation as it grows to new heights. Axum.
So that is Archie. He could not be here today, but he did want to send the video. And we are going to bring back a tradition, and especially reflecting on our centennial. And 100 years from now, they're going to want to know what we were doing today. We are going to take the faculty staff picture right here. Nobody move, except for the people on the sides have to come down and fill in the back. The camera will only go here in front, and yes, it gets those of you upstairs, so do not leave. They're up there waving. So we will have this moment documented that'll show up in a 200-year video, who knows? So they probably won't even have videos. It'll be something amazing by then. So thank you all for coming, but please stay here for the picture and have a great fall semester, and thank you so much.